Back in 2019, I had the lucky experience of coming across the artist Jung, and ever since then, I have not been able to take my eyes off of his art. Honestly, if it was not because of him, I do not think I would have gotten back into drawing, because at the time, I probably haven't drawn for probably like 3 or 4 years at that point, and seeing his art and just being so captivated by it made me really want to understand, why do I like this art so much? Whether it be the details that he puts into his work, the lack thereof it, and just pure line economy, or even the perspective that he has, it just brings me into his world. So today, I actually wanted to sit down and finally study his work with some level of intentions, considering he's been such a big impact on me, and I wanted to understand why that was. I ended up taking one of these pieces that I found on Pinterest just because I like the style. I like how there was just pure line economy, and I feel like that was like the main base, because one thing that I've noticed about his work is that even when he puts it just line down, there's still so much form there, and I wanted to understand how to do that. So in order to do that, I first had to copy him. So in this first drawing that we have right here, I'm just taking my time trying to understand what lines and what decisions he's making and why did he place them there. And honestly, just from looking at it, I can already start to understand, if I was to draw more in a sense, rather than looking at the reference or whatever I'm using to draw as a 2D image, and not necessarily just a 3D image, but also understanding like where the depth is coming from at what point or what places. Because as I'm looking at it right here compared to how I normally draw, I don't draw like this. I actually put down my guidelines and everything like that, but I actually wanted to draw more so on how he draws with no guidelines, just to understand what his thought process is when he makes a line, where he makes a mistake, and if he does make some mistakes, how does he recover from it? Now in this first attempt, I tried to not erase as much just because I understand that I'm learning, but I also wanted to give myself that grace because I'm learning to erase, just to make sure I can get it closer to what the reference look like. And in this first reference too, I'm trying to go for as much likeness as I can, but I'm not beating myself up if I don't get it right, because at the end of the day, I'm not Jung, I'm just a person who really likes to enjoy and consume his art. Unfortunately, he is no longer here, but the time that he's spent here on this earth is something I'll always be grateful for, and I'm honestly glad that I've came across his art. His art has changed my life for the better. I can honestly say, if it's not for him, I honestly don't know if I would be drawing right now. Which is why I kind of wanted to start off this series where I'm going to look at other artists that have impacted me to kind of bring back that creative spark, to understand what it is that I like about their art, and if I was to do the same things that they do and kind of combine them together, what artist would I be? Whenever I do a drawing, I always try to pay attention to whatever lines or curves that I'm doing, just because I naturally just have an affinity for either drawing really jagged lines or like really curvy stuff. So I tend to look at folds in the different way rather than looking at it as just simply what direction that the line is going in. I try to pay attention to the shape that it's taking in the negative space, and that's been helping me out a lot on my curves, which is kind of like, I guess, why I like to gravitate more towards it. It kind of gives it more of like that soft, squishy feeling, and I like when drawings have that kind of touch to it. Now at this point, I was actually unaware of my setup. I ended up bumping into my tripod, causing me to not be able to get the bottom of the page for this drawing, but you guys will see it as I get into this next version of this drawing. Looking at the final result from what we can see here so far, honestly, looking back at it now, I didn't realize how big I did the head at first, but it actually doesn't look bad, because sometimes you can have a big head with a small body and it looks kind of cool. So this is kind of like what I'm talking about too, more of just like a character style. Now, as I'm drawing the second version over here, as you guys can see, I'm erasing it a lot, mainly because I felt like I wasn't able to get the angle on the eye and the eyebrow correctly to match the eyelid how I did the first time. Because now for the second time around, as I do this drawing, I decided that I'm not using a reference, I'm using my first original drawing to then kind of draw it again, because I don't draw things more than once, and I feel like that's actually the best way to get your reps in, to draw something multiple times until you understand it, which is one of the biggest practices that Jung has always talked about. He always talks about taking things and repurposing it, transforming it, turning it in a different way, or just simply repeating it again and again until you understand it. So rather than just having a, I guess, knowledgeable understanding, there needs to be an actionable understanding. It's something I'm starting to realize to improve my art. So this will be something that I will implement into my process a lot more, so I can start to understand how forms work and how lines work, rather than just looking at contours, which I kind of feel like I've always been drawing from my entire life. Okay, so it is the next day, and I didn't realize when I was recording this yesterday that I ran out of space. So I'm going to just give my insights on pretty much what I learned from doing this study. So this right here is the original study, and then this is my own independent from my reference. And if I learned anything from seeing what Jung does in his work that I feel like I want to implement into my own work, is just having more of a, I could say is basically to have more of an understanding on how form works, especially when you're just using lines. Like, I think that's like the main thing that I want to take away from this, because I feel like as of right now, since I'm learning lighting and I'm learning coloring, it's a lot easier for you to build forms if you could put a lot of tones down. At least that's just how it works in my brain for certain things, specifically like the face and like subtle things that's like tube shaped, like arms and whatnot. I could kind of build the form through color and shading. But when you just have line and you want to add on more to that, I feel like I can pick up more of the details. Like, even with my own comparison of how I did the eye here versus how the eye is over there, similar shapes, just different execution. Same thing with how I ended up doing the top of the head. Like, I like the way how here I had more of an arc to it. This one kind of feels more angular, so I'm noticing how a lot of my lines kind of come out as like straight lines that I connect, so it kind of feels more boxy. I want to work on having more of those rounds, so it's not just only when I see an angle, I'm not just using the angle as sharp. Sometimes the angle can also be curved, sometimes the angle can be smooth. So just wanted to implement that into my own work, as well as having that openness of creativity. Like, for example, how I feel like here the head is a lot bigger than the rest of the body, and then over here I kind of made everything similarly proportionate. I draw more like this, and this is kind of more of what I want to get into. This one over here is another independent study that I did after I finished these two, because I wanted to study his work again to kind of understand it. And this time I didn't hold myself to following the reference as much. I wanted to kind of like understand the lines that he's making, but still draw how I would, which is why how my lines look at this. And I like how this turned out, and I like how softer this is. I like how soft this one is too, but over here, when I did my own study, things are a little bit more sharp, jagged. And I think that's also because I'm trying to allow myself to let go and not hold on to so much on the lines that I make, but I still have to care. Like, I'm still trying to figure out that balance of like not getting too attached to a line, but also not caring about it enough just to move on. Basically saying like I'm trying to be okay with things not being perfect. Honestly, like how these two turned out. Even the one that I did over here, I like the face more. I feel like I could have did better in the body, but I was kind of just letting myself go with the flow. Biggest takeaway that I got from doing this exercise is to basically take your time, especially when analyzing your reference, because I do tend to get stuck in the details. Know when to move on and know when to just let things be so you can kind of do it again. That's kind of like what I did here. I kind of like let things just go. And here I was just trying to like get it right enough so that way when I studied my own independent reference, I could still have something to go off of. That's like the first thing that I'm realizing. The second thing too that I'm realizing is that it's actually okay to kind of expand upon how things look. Like I feel like here, like I was saying earlier, the head is a lot bigger than I thought compared to the body, but it honestly doesn't look bad, especially when you put it next to something else where it's just like these things are a little bit more proportionate, so you can kind of see like, oh, this one has a bigger head to kind of just like represent like this is a person and the body is just small. Like I don't know, but I like how things turn out over here where it's just like things kind of fit. Like I want to strive more for like these two drawings when I'm studying this. So over the next week, I'm going to take more time out of my day to kind of like implement that into my own practice. Just take about 20 to 30 minutes before I draw something on my own to just study his work and just see how I can pick it up, because this is just going to be a long process. Although I've looked at his art for a very long time, I haven't yet to start drawing it, so this is pretty much just the start of it. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.